Hello and welcome back to the Star Wars podcast. And today we will be talking about some Star Wars facts that I can bet you that you did not know. Now let's get started here with fact 1. Did you know that Yoda was almost played by a monkey? George Lucas originally planned for Yoda to be played by an adorable monkey wearing a mask and carrying a cane. Fact 2. Did you know that Ewok is never actually set in the original trilogy of the Star Wars movies? The name of the cuddliest species in the galaxy is never actually spoken by any character in the films. The species is only identified in the script and closing credits. Fact 3. Did you know that Return of the Jedi almost had a very different ending? George Lucas toyed with the idea that after Luke removes a dying Vader's helmet, he puts it on and proclaims, "Now I am Vader," and turns to the dark side. Fact 4. Did you know, depending on the movie, Yoda has a different number of toes? In The Phantom Menace, Yoda has 3 toes, but in The Emperor Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and the Sith, he has 4. Did you know fact 5? Did you know Star Wars and 2001 A Space Odyssey had the same production crew? George Lucas admired Stanley Kubrick's work so much that he hired as many people who worked on 2001 as he could. The group was referred to as the Class of 2001. Did you know that E.T. was in The Phantom Menace? Kind of. The alien race of E.T. makes an appearance in Episode 1, officially connecting the worlds of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg sci-fi. Chewbacca's voice is a mix of other animals. Chewbacca's signature voice is a mix of bears, walruses, lions, badgers, and rather worryingly, a mixture of dying animal sounds. Did you know fact 8? Lightsaber noises came from an old television. The trademark lightsaber sounds were created by combining the hum of an old television picture tube and the buzz of a film projector's motor. Did you know fact 9? Did you know Harrison Ford almost wasn't Han Solo? Burt Reynolds was a top contender to play Han Solo, along with Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson, and Christopher Walken. Did you know fact 10? Darth Vader is banned from all official Star Wars parties. David Prowse, the actor who portrayed Darth Vader in form, not voice, is banned from attending Star Wars conventions and parties because George Lucas finds him annoying. Fact 11. R2-D2 once spoke English and was kind of a jerk. The R2-D2 we all know and love speaks only in beeps and whistles, a robot language that most of his friends can understand. But in the original draft of Star Wars, written in 1974, R2-D2 spoke in complete sentences. Even more alarming, he was not the lovable goof he would later become. He was actually kind of a bully, berating his pal C-3PO with insults like, "You're a mindless, useless philosopher, and you're nothing more than a dim-witted, emotion-brained intellectual. Why you were created is beyond my logic systems." Fact 12. Did you know that Carrie Fisher slapped Oscar Isaac more than 40 times on the first day of shooting? Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, goes against General Leia Organa's, Carrie Fisher's, orders in The Last Jedi. But not without consequence. Isaac revealed in an interview with Stephen Colbert that the scene which Leia demotes Poe was a difficult one to get right, leading to the late actress slapping the younger star more than 40 times. What an honor. Did you know that Boba Fett first appeared in a country fair parade. Most people believe that legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett first appeared in 1980's The Empire Strikes Back, but hardcore fans know it happened a little earlier in the much maligned Star Wars Holiday Special in 1978, and they'd be wrong too. His history goes back a little bit further. The first time anyone set eyes on Boba Fett was on September 24th, 1978, during the San Anselmo Country Fair Parade in California. The townspeople were only lucky enough to get an advance look at what would become one of Star Wars' most loved baddies because they shared a zip code with 52 Parkway, the original headquarters of Lucasfilm. Dwayne Dunham, an assistant film editor for Lucas who wore the suit, said in an interview that he and a guy dressed as Darth Vader were at the front end of the parade. We were leading the whole thing. We just walked side by side down the street, Dunham explained. It was a little funny. There weren't that many people at the parade, he recalled before adding, I don't think any press outside of San Anselmo newspaper covered it in any way. Did you know that Samuel L. Jackson had his lightsaber engraved with a bad word? While doing an interview on BBC's The Graham Norton Show, Samuel L. Jackson insisted that he still owned the purple lightsaber that his character Mace Windu used in some pretty epic battles in the Star Wars prequels. But the most shocking revelation, what Jackson claimed was engraved on his lightsaber, which is not suitable for younger children. Any long-time follower of Jackson's career could probably guess it, though, as you may recall, back in 1994, Jackson appeared in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, where he played an enlightened hitman named Julius Winfield, whose wallet is embroidered with the same words. Did you know that Adam Driver recorded his last lines as Kylo Ren in his own closet? According to Matthew Wood, sound editor on The Rise of Skywalker, changes to the script came in so late that he had to travel to the home of Adam Driver, who played Bill and Kylo Ren throughout the last trilogy, to record him delivering a few and new and necessary lines in a rather low-tech place. I ended up opening one of his closets where he had all of his suits, and I just pushed the suits out of the way and said, hang your head in here, Wood said on the Soundworks Collection podcast per the week. Did you know the first Star Wars almost caused an actual war? To create the barren desert planet of Tatooine, Lucas found the perfect setting in Tunisia. What he didn't account for was how even a little movie production could lead to social political tensions. Tunisia shares a border with Libya, which at the time was ruled by dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Reportedly, the Tunisian government received threats from Gaddafi, warning that a confliction was inevitable if they didn't remove a military vehicle from the Libyan border. The military vehicle in question was actually a Jawa sandcrawler. Lucas agreed to move the prop because, well, inciting an international incident isn't a great way to publicize a movie. Did you know that Chewbacca had to be protected from bear hunters? Compared with the snowy tundras and barren deserts, the Star Wars cast crew had to endure filming in the redwood forests of northern California to create the forest moon of Endor for Return of the Jedi. Must have been a cakewalk, except for actor Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca. During the several-month shoot, he had to be constantly chaperoned by bodyguards in bright vests to protect him from hunters. That's because in costume, Mayhew could have easily been mistaken for a bear. But more hilariously, the bodyguards had to protect the actor from people searching the forest for Bigfoot. Yes, that Bigfoot, the mythical ape-like creature that's rumored to be hiding somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. We might be inclined to believe that this was just another tall tale, but Mayhew himself actually confirmed this story on Reddit. Did you know that Sir Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan, hated Star Wars? The great actor Sir Alec Guinness was accustomed to performing Shakespeare before he signed on to play Obi-Wan Kenobi, and according to many accounts, he hated it. In a letter to friends, as obtained by Mashable, Guinness complained that new rubbish dialogue reaches me every other day on wages of pink paper, and none of it makes my character clear or even bearable. What's more, in an anecdote shared in his autobiography, A Positively Final Appearance, Guinness recalls meeting a young fan who asked for an autograph and claimed he'd seen Star Wars 100 times. He agreed to give the child an autograph, but only if he never watched the movie again. He bursted into tears, Guinness wrote. I just hope the lad, now in his 30s, is not living in a fantasy world of second-hand childish banalities. Did you know that there are several direct references to The Godfather throughout the franchise? George Lucas is good friends with Francis Ford Coppola and worked on The Godfather. You can see the influence of that film in a few different aspects of Star Wars, starting with Han and Jabba's working relationship, which was an organized crime flavor, but maybe the most evocative visual reference to the Mafia classic is in The Return of the Jedi. When Leia strangles Jabba with her chain, this mirrors the death of Luca Brasi, Lenny Montana, a connection that was very deliberate according to the official Star Wars site. Did you know the Porgs only existed to cover up scene-stealing puffins? All of these adorable porgs that annoyed poor Chewbacca in The Last Jedi weren't originally part of the script. They were a last-minute addition by director Rian Johnson when he learned that their shooting location, the Irish island of Skellig Michael, is filled with hundreds of very friendly and not at all camera-shy puffins. As creature concept designer Jake Lunt Davies explained in an interview, they decided to find a positive solution for what could have been a costly problem. You can't remove them, Davies said of the puffins. You physically can't get rid of them, and digitally removing them is an issue and a lot of work. So let's just roll with it, play with it, and so I think he thought, well, that's great. Let's have our own indigenous species. Did you know that Darth Maul barely blinks in The Phantom Menace? Well, the number of blinks varies depending on the number of blinks varies depending on who you ask. Darth Maul's creepy villainous stare is a hallmark of his character. Reportedly, the red contact lenses worn by actor Ray Park made it difficult and painful to blink, but it was also decided that it was useful character choice. One instance Star Wars fans do agree on is that Darth Maul briefly shuts his eyes right after he's chopped in half by Obi-Wan. Did you know that Princess Leia was almost played by a sitcom star? Among the many actresses who auditioned to play Princess Leia in A New Hope was Laverne and Shirley star Cindy Williams. Footage of her audition survived and has made it onto YouTube. Williams, who had previously worked with George Lucas on American Graffiti, read an early version of a scene between Han and Leia regarding the information R2 is carrying and the reward that's 2 decades later. In an interview with the Television Academy, the actress recalled the dialogue being impossible to say and praised Fisher as the only choice for Rebel Princess. Did you know Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's communicator is actually a ladies' racer? Some of the most futuristic props in the Star Wars movies were created with some very unusual materials, like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which was really just the handle of a vintage camera flash, or the medical droid's mouthpiece in Emperor Strikes Back, which was just an old school microphone. But our favorite bit of prop trickery is in The Phantom Menace. You may not have looked twice at the communicators used by Qui-Gon Jinn, Liam Neeson, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor, but if you did, you might have noticed that they're shaped exactly like Gillette Razor. That's because they are. Not literally, of course, but they were created from the resin cast of Gillette's Ladies Sensor Excel Razor. Did you know that Darth Vader was almost a very famous actor? Nobody's real face has been in as much mystery and anticipation as Darth Vader. For 7 years, the entire universe wondered, what does he look like? Just how gruesome is he? Lucas knew that when the mask finally came off in Return of the Jedi, it had to pack a wallet. So he briefly considered finding someone famous, perhaps a legendary British stage actor like Laurence Olivier, with a little makeup, of course, to stand in for Vader. But according to the making of Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Lucas quickly mixed that idea, worrying that it would distract people from the story and they wouldn't take it seriously, in his words. But we can still imagine a dramatic emoting that Oliver would have delivered as a dying Darth Vader. How could that not be Oscar worthy? Did you know Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford partied with Monty Python and the Rolling Stones while filming The Emperor Strikes Back? In 1979, Fisher rented a London townhouse from Monty Python and member Eric Idle, where she stayed while filming The Emperor Strikes Back. She wrote in an essay for Newsweek in 1999. One night, Idle visited after returning from Tunisia, where he and the other Python members had filmed Life of Brian. He brought this drink that he said they gave the extras so they'd work longer, Fisher wrote. I called it Tunisian table cleaner. Harrison Ford stopped by, as did the Rolling Stones, who were recording down the block. We had a really early call the following morning, but you have to measure the fun, Fisher explained. Rolling Stones are early call, and we decided on both. After partying all night with the Stones, Ford and Fisher arrived for the morning shoot without any sleep. The first scene of the day, the Cloud City meeting with Lando. It was their first meeting with Billy D. Williams, and as you'll notice in the film, both Han and Leia are all smiles, who wouldn't be after an all-nighter with the Stones? Did you know a 10-year-old Han Solo was almost in The Revenge of the Sith? If you've always wondered if Han Solo as a kid was as effortlessly cool as the adult version, we almost got a chance to find out in the Revenge of the Sith scene, as concept artist Ian McCaig explained in The Revenge of the Sith art of a book. A young Solo being raised by Chewbacca was briefly considered and even sketched out in illustrations. According to McCaig, Yidel Han was an absolute slob. He even had a line in the original script. I found part of a transmitter droid near the East Bay. I think it's still sending and receiving signals, not too earth-shattering, granted, but still kind of amazing because that line would have been uttered to Yoda, which would mark the first and only exchange between the two Star Wars characters. Later, the prequel film Solo would fill in some of young adult Han's backstory. Did you know Boba Fett's face was revealed in The Emperor Strikes Back? Pretty much every kid who saw Empire in the theaters had the same thought. I wonder what Boba Fett looks like under the mask. Well, not to blow your minds, but his real mug is in the movie. He was right there in clear sight, sans the mask, and nobody realized. You can't be forgiven for not noticing, as you would have needed inside knowledge of the production to know what you were seeing. As Jeremy Bulloch, who plays Boba Fett, explained in a 2000 interview, one day I was sitting around in a Boba Fett outfit and I asked if I would mind playing this Imperial officer because there was nobody to play the part. The role in question was Lieutenant Shekel, a character that didn't even have a name yet. His scene, Bullock said, was in Cloud City, where Princess Leia says, "Luke, it's a trap. I drag her away. Moments earlier, you see me as Boba Fett shooting at Mark Hamill." One scene, and we got a glimpse of Boba with the mask and without it, and we didn't even realize it. Did you know Yoda's original name was Buffy? Most Star Wars fanatics already know that Yoda's full name, at least in the original script, was Mensch Yoda, before being shortened to something that rolls off the tongue a little bit easier. But here's a fun fact that might surprise you. In the very, very, very early writing stages of The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda's original name was, brace yourself, Buffy. Yes, Buffy. A name we usually associate with awesome teenage vampire slayers. The world would have been a very different place if Yoda had somehow been given this very un-Yoda-like name. That is all for today, and I very much appreciate you taking your time to watch and listen this podcast. And if you want to know where to find more of these, it will be on Spreaker on the Star Wars selection of the Swarm Network for you to find all of the podcasts that you might love. See you next time.